Hey FB, it's your girl Anissa. Today I wanted to get on here and show you guys, don't scream, okay, because I'm trying to show them something, okay? Show you guys how to dehydrate or dry your foods. As you may know now, get down. Everyone is being placed on notice that a lot of things are closing, and most likely you won't be able to go back and forth to the stores to replenish your food source. So I'm going to suggest,
that's you with it.
excuse me, I'm talking. I'm going to suggest that you start drying some foods, because along with your frozen foods and your canned good foods, drying your foods will last you a very long time. So that being said, let's get started. I went out and got a bunch of vine ripe tomatoes. You can get any kind of tomato you want. I like vine ripe because they're sweet. And start by reaming the core out of your tomato. See that? Tomato core. Set them to the side. We're going to be slicing. Our tomatoes maybe about 1/4 of an inch thick, so that they will dry nicely and not have to stay in there forever. I have a dehydrator. I have a couple of dehydrators, but today, for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to be doing one. So, go sit down, please.
I got what second.
Okay, but I don't need you doing that.
Well, I won't.
That's Mr. Jaya. Y'all know my grandbaby. He make you want to choke him. Okay, so after slicing your tomatoes in about 1/4 of an inch thick, what I like to do, I like to cut 3 slices in the middle and dump the seeds out, because the seeds makes it take so long to dry. So if you just kind of pop the seeds out of the middle and put them in a bowl, put your tomatoes in a bowl.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I like tomatoes.
You don't like tomatoes?
Yes, I like it.
You like tomatoes?
Yes.
Tomatoes.
Tomatoes are good for me.
Yeah, it's good for you. Good for your heart too, right?
Eat it.
No, you're just saying that because you want to eat my tomato. That's all. Here, I'm going to slice you a little bit because I know you're not going to eat it. Here, mister. Goodbye. Here, goodbye.
I like it.
But then put it over there. I knew you wasn't going to eat it. Anyway.
I want to eat it.
So with the tomatoes, and you have the seeds from the tomatoes, you know, you can always plant your seeds to grow more tomatoes, so that you don't have
tomatoes don't good.
run back and forth to the store. So you're going to set those seeds to the side. I'm not going to go through all these tomatoes for video purposes. I know you guys don't want to sit through me cutting out all these tomatoes, but anyway, pop the seeds out, put it in a bowl. Now, some people, I believe, use their oven to dry foods. I don't use my oven. I use my dehydrator. You can go to Walmart, Target. I know they have them on sale probably for about $30, maybe $40. You can get a decent dehydrator. Make sure you get the one with a fan in it, not just the heating elements, because if you get the one with the heating elements in it, it just takes way too long to dry. So I suggest that you get the one with the fan effect in there. Again, we're just dumping the seeds out of the tomatoes a little bit, putting them in a bowl. So I'll stop there so you guys can see. Hold on, let me do my hands. All right. So here you have some dried basil. Now I get my basil from the farmer's market. I get a lot of my stuff from the farmer's market. You know, just seems to be more organic or tastes better. Not a lot of artificial, nothing in them. We're gonna sprinkle however much, generous amount, maybe a half a teaspoon of basil on your tomatoes. Maybe a tablespoon of, I don't even measure, maybe a tablespoon of olive oil, Kroger brand olive oil. And for those of you who like salt, I don't really like a lot of salt, because when it dries, the taste is just wonderful. So I just put maybe a Just a very little bit of salt on it. Pepper. A little bit of pepper. Very little bit pepper. And you want to flip it around so that the olive oil coats the tomatoes. You're welcome. You open what? Okay. So you want to flip your tomatoes around in the olive oil and the basil with your little season mix, however you want to season them. Again, if you don't put anything on them, with this basil and olive oil, once it dries, it's going to taste delicious anyway, so you really don't need any seasoning. So that it may look like this. Nicely coated. You can allow them to sit overnight if you want. You can allow them to sit for an hour, 30 minutes. I usually do about 30 minutes to an hour. Let them sit. And then you're gonna align them. Let me show you guys. This is my dehydrator. One of them anyway. See, it has the temperature gauge. It has off and on. And this is the fan element that I was speaking about. These are the trays for the dehydrator. Again, you just you want to lay them out on the trays so that they're not touching, so that the heat can get all over the tomato to dry evenly. Leave them on there for maybe about 8 hours or so. Check them. Usually they're pretty dry in about 8 hours because you're cutting them again only about 1/4 of an inch thick. Once they dry, you put them in I put mine in Ziploc bags or either canning jars. If I use the Ziploc bag, I'll zip in the bag and then try to smush it or get the air out of the bag before I seal it. You can do that with a straw. You can do that with your hand, just kind of pressing down on the bag, however you need to do that. But you know, these dried tomatoes are good for soup, sandwiches. They come back real easy. If you don't want them to come back, you want to eat them dry, they're perfect. So hit me up, inbox me if you have any questions. I'll kind of guide you through it. You can try anything, any vegetable, any fruit, even meat, if that's your preference. Not my preference, but you know, have fun. See ya.